I've been warning people since 2020 in America and worldwide, and maybe from 2020 to 2023. It seemed like tinfoil hat. But this is the reality that we're facing now. This isn't fear-mongering. These are facts, figures, numbers, logic. Now, I'm about to tell you is my research, and I'm going to share with you what I am doing. I'm just going to be open and transparent. You have to do your own research. I'm trying to empower you to understand macro and microeconomics, how different things are, and how radically things are going to change over the next 10 years. This should be a warning to you. Gold officially overtakes the US dollar as the largest global reserve asset. In 1971, we detached from the gold standard, making our money fake. Around 1976, we flew into hyperinflation. By 1988 to 1990, when we went into full financialization, which means money became completely detached from reality. After World War II, the American dream, the American trap was created, the middle class, which now you could monetize against your future labor, a 30-year mortgage, an auto loan. And then by 1988, our couches and money became completely detached from reality. We were now being paid in someone else's debt. We'd put that debt into the bank. The bank would lend it out 9 times over. They would encourage us to finance everything because it made it easier for us, because we could afford more without having the ability to pay for it yet. But what that did is it took away from future labor. And then Bill Clinton created subprime mortgages as we went into the 2000s, and that caused a ripple effect. We went into 2006 to 2008, where non-income stated loans were created, a cat could get a mortgage, and the markets came collapsing down. That started our crisis stage in 2009, and Bitcoin was created. By 2012, Ripple created a token called XRP. Well, it didn't start as XRP. You had two revolutionary financial changing assets that were created. Bitcoin, a store of value that's peer-to-peer outside a centralized party. Fixed supply, opposite of the inflationary US dollar. XRP, fixed supply, deflationary by nature, opposite of the US dollar. And I won't bore you with all the rest. But now you land in 2026, and central banks preferred gold as a global reserve asset. That's a clear sign to you. This is nothing new, guys. This happens over and over and over again. Here's another thing. It took gold 2,000 years to do, price appreciation. It took Bitcoin 10 years to do. And I want you to really think about this. Here's some logic. My 10-year-old son got a 3D printer. I have not bought him a toy in 3 months. He goes into his room and makes toys. You really think that the future of finance is a SWIFT system, a dollar that's fake, going to do a wire transfer that takes 2 days to get to the person? My son is making toys in his room. No. The future of finance is blockchain, distributed ledger technology. Money is going to move at the speed of light. And here's the facts. Since 1971, the dollar is, 1913, since the Federal Reserve was created, it's not Federal Reserve, the dollar's collapsed 96 to 97%. You're in a transition now into stable coins. You're in a transition into Bitcoin being the new gold. You're in a transition to new technologies that are going to move value across the system. You're in a transition where the dollar is going to start to lose its power over time, and stable coins are going to come in, and we're going to be on an even playing field monetarily before we know it. Traditional banks are going to combine with decentralized finance banks. I guarantee you, save this. Within the next 24 months, your banks will be begging to custody your cryptocurrency. They're going to be begging you to do institutional grade custody. They're going to use things like FTX and Celsius as their commercials to bring you underneath the wings for safety, because they want to get your crypto on the balance sheet, especially Bitcoin that grows 50% every single year, because they get paid under assets under management and they lend your money out. So all I'm trying to do is wake you up to the reality of this. That's why I create cash flow. That's why I pull profits when my assets go up, because no market ever goes up all the time. That's why I build protection, because I can navigate these cycles that happen over and over again. Insurance, silver, Berkshire, copper. When the market comes collapsing down, because it will again, over and over again, I go back in and buy fear. And then we look for the next economic cycle, the next thing they're going to manipulate us with, and we de-risk and get back in. And we always go back to protection, because money needs safety, it needs containers, it needs structure, it needs discipline, and it needs to move through the system. It needs diversification. That is biblical, guys. The Bible gives you the format. Richest man in Babylon, wisdom of King Solomon, Abraham. There's coding to wealth. So you can sit back and just ignore this. You can sit back and keep arguing about the Epstein files. You can sit back and keep arguing about all this shit that they're distracting you with. You can start to understand how the economic system actually works. You can build a discipline plan physically, spiritually, and financially. But I'll keep educating you guys. I'll keep telling you guys exactly what I'm doing so you can come back and measure my success. But you will be asked by your grandkids in about 20 years from now, Grandma, Grandpa, what did you do during the largest wealth transfer in history? I hope you don't say I sat on my hands and I posted about the files all day. And I sat on my hands and I argued about Bad Bunny in the Super Bowl. And I sat on my hands and I argued back and forth between left and right. They're going to be like, why didn't you take advantage of the biggest wealth transfer in history? I was too busy being right. I was too busy making sure I could prove that my ego was right. Remember, this is nothing new under the sun. We're drunk in the Coliseum and the Trojan horse has come in. Love you guys. Warriors! Rise, get your shit together.